Filming in Progress, everybody. It's your boy Jarrell Washington with my co-host Isai. Please, our special guest, man of the hour.
I don't know about all that.
Please introduce yourself, sir.
To the guest or to you guys?
Everybody.
To everybody. My name is Michael Martin. I am a commercial director here in Kansas City. I also do some documentaries and some short films.
Hey.
You probably have put up my Instagram handle. Please come follow me. I need more followers.
Yeah, we'll put a handle like
somewhere.
We'll
put it right over his face the whole time.
the whole time.
You can put it right here. That's fine. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man! Thank you so much for coming. Like we were talking about, it was like, man, Michael's probably like our highest high profile client. Like
that is, you flatter me, and I don't know how true that is, but thank you.
We've interviewed a pretty handful of people who I'm very passionate, like very happy that we've interviewed. Naomi with the Rona Stunt Company, Adrian Herrera, the DP that him and he know each other. And then we had our friend Abraham. His mental health awareness kind of episode. So like,
oh, that's cool.
There's a lot of different vibes from everybody.
I'm happy to talk about mental health. I deal with a lot of that myself, but yeah,
right.
I'll have to go back and listen to that one.
We haven't interviewed a director though.
Yeah, that's the one thing we have. You're our first director.
I'm honored.
Too,
that's
so
awesome. Yeah,
that's why I say you're the high profile.
Well, I'll take it, and it's really funny because like, when you do direct, it's not that you don't have peers. There's other directors in town, but when you come to set and you direct all day, I don't have anybody to be like, hey, how did I do today? Or whatever. So like, I don't know how anyone in town perceives me.
People are coming to you and asking how they did.
Yeah, they need feedback from me, and that's kind of part of the gig is that like, you know, you can't go to a second AC and be like, hey, am I doing a good job? Because then you lose that like veil of, you don't need authority. You just need to know. You need to at least appear like you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you don't get feedback, and then on top of that, because so much of a director's gig is like pre-pro meetings and dealing with clients. Like I don't get to be like down in the trenches with people. And so like there's a whole group of people in town now that I've only ever worked with as me being the director and them working underneath. And like, I came up from the bottom. So like I started winding cables and stuff. And it's so odd for me, for other people to look at me the way that you guys are talking, like, that you have this like respect for my career, and it's honestly super humbling to hear it, and it reminds me to be like really thankful for how much I've been able to do. And so this is a long extended thank you for having me. I'm humbled.
Oh man,
no, thank you
for coming,
dude.
Absolutely.
I've only heard great things about Mike. Like I never hear anything bad about you. So that's like, and from the moment you and me like connected and all that, I've always just like, man, he's just such a positive fucking person.
Oh my, that's really funny that you should say that, because there's a lot of people that would be like, that guy's so fucking negative about everything. And I can be, but when I'm on set, you know, there's like a very different version of how stuff needs to run.
There's a very different you, because I've seen you in the zone.
You can be. I want to, before we get into this, you've probably seen me lose my cool a little bit. You don't have to pull punches.
Seen you lose your cool once. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, actually,
it's part of the gig. Like I think the
only thing I saw you lose, you might not even lost your cool. I think you were just frustrated at how long things were taking. Was on
shocking.
Might have been on either what did we do for with John Davis at Jay Rieger?
Oh yeah, it was like the
sit down with
it was like a sit down, sit down like web. It's not too dissimilar for this. From this is like a roundtable discussion about whiskey production.
So those are all whiskey distillers.
All whiskey distillers. Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were different entrepreneurs.
Well, also it was a mix. Like some of them were entrepreneurs and distillers. They do both, but it's all the inside baseball about the distillery business. And so it's a lot like what this is, where it's just people from the industry sitting around a table and talking. And then we had like 5 cameras, and I think I was like a 40-person crew.
That sounds oddly familiar.
Yeah, we just did that.
We just did.
So what you and I were just working on is season 3 of that show.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So you were on season 2.
Damn.
And then you were, I don't know why, I don't have a lot of control over who gets hired anymore. So
Joe,
either that or we called you.
Yeah, I know. Well, John informed me. He was like, "Oh, I can start hiring you again. I just got an iPhone." I was like, "Wait, you haven't hired me because I haven't had
an iPhone?"
I tried to tell you this. I tried to warn him. I was like, "If you don't have an iPhone, you're gonna lose work." Like Like, I don't even work with you.
I don't hire producers that are green bubbles.
Oh
like
my
full
God.
stop.
I
No,
know.
I'm
You're good
totally
now.
kidding.
You're
You
stock
iPhone
went
users
up.
are only allowed to call and text this phone. If I ever see an iPhone come through this number ever again, you're canceled.
Yeah.
You especially. You deleted my.
I deleted it.
my
It won't
number.
ever happen for me. If I ever do text that phone, like it's like an emergency, and like I might think you're dead. Like I think I might like it might be like a Amber Alert or something for you. That's the only time I'll ever text that
Amber
phone.
Alert. 30-year-old black male
With an
should be able to
Android.
take care of himself, but somehow he got kidnapped, and now we have to have a statewide.
And we can't track
message.
it. We can't track it on Find My Friends because he has an Android.
I hate you so much. I hate you so much. Oh my God. So tell me, all right.
Yeah.
You said you had good news for me.
I do have good news, and it depends on when this is. When do you think this will air? Because it's time.
We could air it first. We have a round of these we're doing, so we
Okay.
could do Michael's the next
Will
one.
this?
Yeah,
Will this
true.
air before the Super Bowl?
We can do
When
that.
is the Super Bowl?
13th.
Or
We
I
shoot the Super
actually, you
Bowl.
guys, I don't know if you can say the Super Bowl. So if you have to duck that,
We'll quack that out.
but you can say big game. So is it before the big game?
When the 13th is the big game?
Yeah, 13th
Oh
is
yeah,
the
we'll
big
probably
game.
the first week of February.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jarrell and I just worked on a spot for Boulevard Brewing for Quirk.
Yeah.
And last week they told me, not nationally, but regionally, that is going to run during the Super Bowl.
No
At least once, maybe
way.
twice. Yeah, so you have a Super Bowl commercial this year.
Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So can I put that on our website?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a commercial that it depends on when this airs. I might be able to just give it to you guys if you want to like mid-roll the spot and like put it
That
in,
could be
in the
cool.
thing.
Ooh, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, let me look into that. I might be
Okay.
able to do that. But yeah, so that's going to run during the big game. I don't know when. When I find out, I'll let you know. But you're the first person from the crew that I've told. And I'm actually going to send out an email to let everyone know next week.
Sebastian's about to be so fucking
Yeah.
Is he in it?
Yeah.
Bro, he's the watermelon.
And if we can't show it, I'll give like a super quick synopsis. But it was a spot that I wrote for Quirk, which is a hard seltzer that Boulevard Brewing, a local.
I got a quirk for you.
Oh,
too.
even better. Because I legitimately do very much enjoy the product, but I wrote a spot that is a bunch of anthropomorphic fruit, basically, doing fun things with the people. The concept being like having real fun with real fruit. And
Yeah.
it's honestly just out of a love that I have I love stupid mascot stuff always.
too.
I just think it's really funny. The spot turned out it's really cute, funny, and everyone who worked on it did a really great job. It was a one-day shoot, which those are always, it's a lot to get a 30-second in one day, but we did a really
Right.
good job. And Jarrell especially, you were, who was Marie? Marie was our,
and I came in like to semi-coordinate.
yeah.
It
And
was-
Marie produced and you
Reprodu-
coordinated it,
yeah.
I'm going to crack this. I don't want to walk on your line.
No, you're fine. I probably walked through the camera and all that too. So
Yeah.
So, Quirk, drink this stuff up.
Hey, yeah. Hey, can we talk about that set though, real quick?
Yeah, let's hear
how
about it.
We
Actually, most of my questions that I have for you guys is about that feedback that I don't get. So tell me about the set. How was it?
well, one, the set was super fucking fun.
What makes a set fun? Okay, I'm going to use this.
I love this.
Moving down the road.
What honestly made the set fun was the spot,
Okay.
and the fact that what was her name? Who was from
Allie Bush is the,
Allie? Yeah,
is the
she
brand
was
manager.
amazing, and
Yeah.
she
She's
didn't
the client. Yeah.
Yeah, client. She didn't bombard. She wasn't hovering. She wasn't bombarding you. She wasn't throwing her opinions literally at you. She was just letting it happen. And I had a really good conversation with her. So that's why I was like, she was just really cool. She was a really cool client to talk to.
They're a
And
really good client to work with.
It's hard to find clients to talk to, especially for like being a coordinator or being a PA,
Mm-hmm.
that you want to just freely open up to somebody and just have a conversation. Because usually they're just like, I don't have the time of day for you, bro. Like, walk away. But she was all like, "Who wants a cork? Who wants a cork?"
Yeah.
Everybody gets a cork, and we're just all popping corks like mid production.
No, at the end of the day, after the set had wrapped,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
over
At
with.
the end of the day, my
Yeah.
bad. We'll quack that out too. But yeah, at the end of the day,
That's totally fine. Yeah, it's okay.
we were. It was just such a cheerful set, and I even told Marie because even though there was like some of the company move and all that we had to do and all that jazz, like some parts were a little stressful here and there. It was a 2-day shoot, I'm pretty sure though.
Was it a 2-day shoot?
Because we were at your
It was a 2-day
yeah,
shoot.
it was a 2-day
Yeah,
shoot
it
because
was
we
a
went to
2-day
that.
We went to the
neighborhood.
lake
Yep.
out in Raintree Lake, which I had to go to a city council type
Oh, you had to
meeting.
sit down
I had to
with
like sit down with the people to
Yeah.
like convince them to let us shoot
love
there.
this.
And
Yeah.
they even came out to the spot where we were shooting,
Yeah.
not just to like see what was going on. And
Tell me
like,
about that
yeah.
interaction. What was it like pulling up? Were you the only one like from the crew?
Yeah. I had to go, and so it's really funny. It was a board of so there's a board of 9 people that are, I don't think it's elected. I think they're appointed, but they represent the whole neighborhood of Raintree. They're like a Raintree Lake Association, and once a month they have a meeting for all the business going on with the lake, and they look at the profit and loss for it. Like, it's a very official meeting. And then at some point they bring up new business, and then I got a chance to get up and speak because we had to get there. We knew we wanted to shoot there. We had scouted, and we were like, this is perfect. And then to get the thumbs up from them, I had to get, I think I just had to get a simple majority. So 5 out of the 9 had to give a thumbs up. So I had to go and like present my case to them, tell them like the production plan, tell them like, here's the budget that we're working in, here's how much insurance we have. And then they grilled me with questions, and like almost immediately everyone was like, yep, that's great, sounds fun. But there was one guy
and he came out too.
that was the guy that came out. And I don't know if he'll ever see this. He was fine, but it was really funny because like 8 out of the 9 people were clearly going to give a thumbs up, but this guy had a million questions, and it was like, come on, man, like everyone else is going to approve this. Like, let's just do it. But that's, some of that stuff is the part of directing that, like, by the time you had gotten to set,
Right.
no one sees that stuff. Like,
Right.
It's all, there's so much going on before we even roll. And so, and I'm interested to hear from both, and you were on a set, what was it? Well, I don't want to say too much of that stuff, but
It was
you were on
whiskey shoot.
a whiskey shoot not long ago. So you both have been on a set of mine. I want to hear both opinions about it, but
I'll let you go, because I've worked with you
bunch.
Honestly, a bunch.
I was when I got the call sheet, because Tom hired me, like he reached out to me, and
Shout out Tom Hip. Tom Hip Productions.
Hey,
You gotta
Tom
get
has
Tom.
a beard now. You guys know this?
Yeah, he looks great.
He looks really good in that
Tom
beard,
looks sexy.
man.
He looks like, I'm like,
I saw him yesterday in our class. I was like, wait, Chris said you had a. I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, he looks good.
It's wintertime.
Shouts out the beard for Tom Hip.
Shouts out to
keep it
beard
on,
Tom
man.
Hip.
Yeah.
Tom Hip, we
man.
love you, man.
You gotta get him some beard oils. Not to say it's not good, but just just
Yeah, you just always got to improve, though. I get that.
exactly. Yeah, there's always room for improvement. You know? But no, when you're talking about like the stuff that we don't see, especially on crew or even like on the final product, like directing is one of those things that you really like. I feel you get the least like amount of like behind the curtain, like with a producer or like a DP or a writer. You can kind of ask them questions, but a director has so much like going on, and probably has the highest amount of pressure. Like usually.
It's a shared, anyone above the line, and so like the director, I'm going to burp, so quack this out real quick, sorry.
What did he just do?
We'll use his burp as the quack.
So like anyone above the line, so like the director, the producer, the DP, I didn't go to film school, so I don't know if the DP actually floats above the line or not. It feels like they're above the line.
They're like on the line.
They're like on the line. But anybody above the line kind of is sharing that workload, but especially the director and the producer because really what you're doing, let me back up. In the commercial world, directing is very different than in the film world, where if you're making a documentary or a short film or a feature length, like that's the guy. In the world of like narrative filmmaking or documentary filmmaking, like you have a lot more say than you do in the commercial world. Mm-hmm. Because in the commercial world, what you're doing as a director is you're really there to make the clients. It's the client's stuff. It's the client's creative. It's their product. And I think when you're a younger filmmaker, at least when I always felt like, man, I want this to be cooler, and the client's getting in the way. Like, we could do this shot would be so much better if we had a little bit more budget and these better lenses and all that. And I think the thing that I learned even just only a couple years ago is that, like, at the end of the day, like, it's not your film, it's their film. Right. You're just driving the truck or the train to get to where they're going. And so on a commercial set, it is stressful because not only are you balancing, like, directing the crew to get the thing done, but you're also balancing all of the client's needs, which is like, that's commercial directing is mostly that. There's not this like grand vision. And I actually, my approach to directing in general is kind of to demystify that, like, oh, this director has this like unique vision and all this like capital A art and capital F film stuff. Like some people work well like that. I don't work like that. Like it's what we do is a craft, and it's something that anyone can learn, and it's very democratic, and I try to take a lot of the mysticism out of it, because that's just not how I operate. Right. And most of that is the client work of you set your shot and you go get it and you say roll and you do it, action, and you cut, and then you walk back to fucking Video Village and sell the shot.
Yeah.
Because there's most of what commercial directing is actually sales, because I have to go take the shot that I just got and get them to buy the shot every single fucking take.
That's what I learned the most from. Well, for one, when I saw that we were going to work on this project together, because I AC'd for a project that he directed, the whiskey one. I was excited for one to have a local director, because all the directors usually on commercial shoots, they fly them in. So I was like pumped, because we hadn't worked together, and it was just dope to have someone local doing it. But I always, like, when I'm on set, I'm always trying to learn things, and like, especially from how people react. You know, like when shit hits the fan, like my favorite thing to do is to see like how people react, because then I learn like I can do that, or I don't ever want to do that.
Right.
You know. So with you, like, I think you really did a good job of like making the crew still feel like we could tell you were a little like stressed out and anxious, because you were literally selling each shot. Like each interview, you had to go back like to the back room, talk to client, and then come back, and then they might want something slightly different. But you were literally selling every single shot, which is something I hadn't seen before.
And that's probably just because when you are local, which is, I'm always happy to work on local projects, because a lot of times, like the person I was going to sell to, the ECD, which in like advertising world terms, that's the executive creative director. He and I are kind of partners on that set. He and I worked together like 5 years ago at an advertising agency. So I give him a little more white glove treatment of like, I'm going to go back there and talk to him every time I can. If I'm an out of town job, I don't care. I'm just there to make the spot and get out of town and go. But when you're a local guy, like I got to work with that guy again, probably in like 2 months. And so I'm also working on the next shoot as much as I am this one. But yeah, it's interesting to see, because I don't think that the crew ever really sees that stuff. And I think probably, and to your credit, you're there to learn as much as you are to work, that's a great way to be. But you said something too, that when the shit hits the fan, like I think you always hear, what was it? There was a guy the other day that just came up that like threw that smoothie at that girl. Have you guys seen this? It went super viral on TikTok. He's like some racist dude that like threw a smoothie at a girl and like started yelling at her.
I think I know what you're talking about.
We're going to play this TikTok too, y'all.
So, but like, when you watch the thing, it's like, damn, this guy's being a real asshole. And then you read into it, and it's like they served his son, who has a peanut allergy, this smoothie with peanuts in it. And so you get this empathy of like, God damn, I can't even imagine. But the guy still was saying racist shit, threw a fucking thing at him. And then, the whole point of this setup is every time that shit happens, you always see them come out with a statement after they've been fired and are in jail or whatever. And they're like, I'm sorry, this is not who I am. Yeah. This is not how I act. And I'm always just like, motherfucker, this is who you are. We got you on tape. And the point of that is to say, how you act when shit is hard is who you are. Yeah. And those directors that you work with that like lose their shit when stuff is tough, that's the kind of director that they are. And I've worked with them. I'm sure you guys have both been with them.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't handle your shit when it's tough, then like I'm not going to say you're a bad director, but like you're at least not being empathetic to the fact that like your job is to direct other human beings.
Yeah.
And if you act like a shit, those human beings don't really want to work for you anymore. Yeah. And like your job on set is to be a leader. And I actually read more management books than I do film books, because that's what I'm doing. It's like managing
literally
people. And that's the best thing. That's what I was getting at too, is like that's the best thing about being on your set, is that you're always able to manage the crew and always keep the crew morale 100%. Like
I appreciate that. I work really hard on that.
I never felt your crew morale on any of your sets ever drop. Like, no like somber faces, no like shit, we're still here, like he's still, because you know what the fuck you want. And that's what I also like about you.
Well, thank you.
Is that you hey, this is the shot. No, not that.
Well, that comes because I spent 10 years as an editor, and a lot of the stuff that you work with me on, like I'm at least involved with the editing, and like I know when I have the shot, like that's it. I don't need 9 safeties. Like, I have the shot. Let's move the fuck on.
Love that, man, for that.
But to your point too, and I want to say thank you for noticing the work that goes into that. 2 things is that for the last 6 years, I've only been on my sets. So I've started to forget what other sets are like. And I want to hear how sets normally go for you guys compared to that. And then also, I think the thing that helps me with that is that, like, my first job was a peon at a production company. And so, like, I coiled cables and, like, did all the horrible.
Which company were you?
I don't want to say. Cause
do we got to quack that out too?
No, they're just not around anymore.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
but it's I was the guy, you know, coiling up cables and putting shit away and, like, being like, I was under a PA even because I was an in-house person. That's like, I didn't even know what I was doing. But the point is like, I've worked in almost every spot on set, and it gives me empathy for other people to say, like, when I tell I've never worked in hair and makeup, but I've worked alongside them enough to know, like, when I say, hey, can you come do last looks? And when most sets, they get like 14 seconds to, like, look at a person and, like, do their final touch-ups. Like, that's not enough for them to do their job. Like, I try to be a little cognizant of that.
I love that.
But yeah, and I want to hear, like are sets not normally like, is that the, and I'm not trying to boost myself here, but, like, I want to hear, because
it just depends. Like, when you, like, John sets, I always have fun on John sets because, like, me and John I just know how John works now after working with him so much and just talking to him all the time and him being a real good mentor to me. I mean, if it's honestly anything local, I've never had a problem. Even on, like, we'll have to quack this out, but even on,
don't
like,
say it. It's just too much work. I don't want to have to go.
Yeah, I don't want to give him too much stuff. And honestly, I want to preface this too. Like, this is not. Well, no, this is not just so you'll shit on other.
No, and I'm not trying to either. But there's just a level of, like I said, there's a level of morale that's always there on your sets, and then when you get to some of these other sets, the level of morale is there at the start of it all because we're like, yeah, new job, we're all happy, we're all grateful, and then it slowly is like, why the fuck are we still here?
So to that point, and then I'll use the cork shoot that we did as an example. Like, by the mid to end of that day, especially on the second day, we were, like, in the sun and it was hot.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I view the job as a director with the crew as much as the talent. It's kind of like being I say this, I don't mean this in a derogatory sense, but, like, being the babysitter. Not to keep people occupied, but to get everyone, like, hey, we're going to get really excited about cleaning up all of our toys. Because, like, sometimes shit just has to happen. And, like, if I'm excited about it and I'm showing people that, like, yeah, I know we have, like, 6 more shots to get and it's hot as shit and we all are getting tired and it's been a long time since we had lunch, I got to get everyone excited about everything again. And, like, that's my job.
And there are some that do it, but there are some that don't. You actually help after wrap.
Oh, sure, yeah.
There are some that don't.
I don't want this to be like,
I don't want to say that here, but that I've always felt that was a big important because the first job that I took for T-Mobile, not T-Mobile, Sprint, it was a PA.
Oh yeah, way back in the day.
Way back in the day. When I took that job, before I took that job, I never saw an EP or director or anybody lift anything. It was always just the PA, maybe not even the coordinator. And then I got on that Sprint shoot, and I saw, I think her name was June. Yeah. And then there was their EP guy, but they were all helping me load the van and everything like that, rolling up mats, folding mats, and all that, carrying out mats. And I was like,
so
I just never was accustomed to that.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword though, because, like, sometimes the director above the line are better off maybe, like, not spending time doing that to prepare for the next day or make sure they have their stuff together.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that will be way more beneficial.
Well, this was full wrap out. This was nice day. So
I was going to say, like, I hope this comes off as, like, not me being like, yeah, I do that on purpose, but I do that on purpose, and I do it when it's the right time.
Yeah.
But it's also because I'm local, and this is something that someone who's not local doesn't have to worry about this, but, like, I'm doing that so the next time you're on my set.
Exactly.
You've seen me say, like, with my own physicality, I'm willing to do the work that I'm asking of other people.
Yes.
So if that makes you a little more empathetic when I come to you and we're already at 2 hours over and I'm like, we got to do one more shot, that you'll be like, all right. if Michael was willing to help me out, I'm willing to help him out. And he wouldn't be asking this of me if it wasn't necessary.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. Like I'll even retract some of that and say like it's really, you only find that when it's local. We don't,
because I got to work with you again.
Yeah, like all the local people have to see each other every single day or every single week. So like, of course, we're always good to each other. It's when you get the out of town people to come in and completely just shit on everybody, and then it's just and you know, you just feel some type of way about it sometimes.
I will say, like on their behalf, not to just totally defend them, but I know they don't intend it to be that way.
I need this perspective too, though, so that way I can see it from both ends.
And I think a lot of it, to your point, is that, and what we were talking about earlier, there's just like 90 other fish being fried. And a lot of times those out-of-town directors, like, they've got 5 other projects that they're prepping. And like, and then it's also just like, you know, they've paid their dues. Like, there's a little bit of like, I come from, my dad was a factory worker most of my life, and my mom is a school teacher. So like, I come from very blue-collar people.
Blue-collar working.
And so there was a point in my career where I started looking at like what my day rate was and how lucky I was to be where I was at. And like, I felt guilty. I was like, I can't believe that I make this when they're paying Isai this much and Jarrell that much. Like, this is really hard pill to swallow. And we could diverge down a whole other anti-capitalism thing that I'm happy to get into if you guys want to. But
we might.
But there's a part to that that's like, the reason why I do some of that work too is so I don't feel othered from the crew that I'm working with. That like, at the end of the day, like, we are all doing the same job. And it's probably because I have some weird internal guilt that like, I'm getting paid more money, so I need to do some more work. But like, that's my own personal shit that I got to work through. But on their behalf, like, some people are just too busy and some people aren't empathetic. And I mean, I don't know, it sucks, but it's
everyone's
when you're at the top of the chain like that, so many people need your time, and that becomes hard to balance and not be bitter about it and not be like, I can't believe so much, like, can't someone just answer their own questions for once?
Now, one person, well, there's been a few, but one person in particular I was actually excited to work with who was from out of town. Sean Baker came into town for that Facebook job that we shot. And he was you could tell it was his first time doing a commercial ad though, because he would ask about certain things, and they were just like, well, because
you can't ask for other people's opinions.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
Client was just taking it and just like, well, we want this now. Well, we want that now. He had no input, it felt like, whatsoever.
And on the other side of that, I say jokingly, like, of course it's great to ask for the client's opinions for sure. And then if you have crew on set that you trust, like if I have a gaffer that I know that I'm working with, like, I usually let the DP handle it, but I work on a lot of smaller crews. So a lot of times I'll be talking to the gaffer too.
Right.
But on the flip side of that coin, what people are looking for out of a director is to make a decision. Like, no one wants to hear like, hey, do you want this light on or not? And then I go like, I don't know, what do you guys think? Like, I'm just slowing stuff down. Like, I get paid to have an opinion, and I get paid to express that opinion and get it communicated efficiently.
Yeah. And we'll see if it felt that he didn't though either.
And a lot of that, and I can't speak to him specifically, but a lot of that is just like needing more at bats, needing more times to do it, because it's like, I don't know what your guys' creative process is like, but I know when I'm at home and working on scripts or doing my own stuff, like, it's a lot of trial and error and like, does this work or no? Maybe it doesn't, maybe we can do this. But when you're on set, like, it can't be that way. Like, you gotta, and I don't know if, I'm sure he did his prep work.
Oh yeah.
But like, it's having all that stuff, all those million decisions made before you get to set. And like, that's really tough. And the other thing that I know that you're a director too, correct? Yeah. And when you get to a spot where you're in charge of $100,000 set for the first time, like, it's a wild experience to have that many people looking at you to like answer their questions and make decisions. And it can be really like, it'll freeze you in your tracks. And so you have to just kind of make those decisions. And if it does freeze you, you end up doing stuff like that about like, you know, asking a question.
And then them just kind of like, you know what he's going to ask, we might as well just keep forking our input.
It's a lot of pressure on you, like, especially when you're dealing with like a comedy set, like, this shit has to be funny. Like, and everyone, and you can tell when you're doing comedy on set, like, if it isn't funny, everyone on set is showing you that it's not funny because they don't
You're
care.
not, if the set's not laughing, then it's
Yeah,
not funny.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been really lucky to work on some really funny sets with some like insanely talented, like A-list talent, and I've learned a lot from those. I'm very, 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 very lucky and privileged to have had that so early in my career. But like, you can tell when a funny set is funny, like it just works. It just clicks. So yeah.
Even going to like the script, like if you like I've written a miniseries that I've like kind of thrown around to see how people react to it, and like we're reading the lines together and stuff, but I'm like so focused on like what makes them laugh. I'm like, okay, like, did that line make them laugh? And if they're laughing, I'm like, okay, good, this isn't funny. Like this is funny. I was laughing writing it, but like they're laughing, so I'm like, okay, cool. It's been justified. Like I'm not crazy.
Laughter from me.
Yeah, like so.
There's also this other lens of like, when everyone's on set, they're seeing, like, even now I don't know if that light's in frame or not. No. But I can see this light and I can see that light over there and all those things over there. Like, I'm seeing all that. But as a director, like, I have a rectangle. If it doesn't happen in that rectangle, it doesn't happen.
100%.
And so I'm actually, when I'm on set, I'm trying to be the viewer more than anything else that's happening on that set. Because even if it's not comedy, like, I'm only able to see through this rectangle in this amount of time, and especially because I am an editor, I know how like, well, this part's just not going to get included, and so it's always having that. I feel like I keep saying the word empathy, but I think maybe that's probably one of the strongest suits that I have, and is probably super important. Not probably, it is a super important.
I think it's the most
skill as a director, is because I'm trying to empathize with the client's point of view, the viewer's point of view, the crew's point of view, the talent's point of view, and you have to temper that, because if you take too much of that into account, you get frozen. But it's just balancing all of those things. It's a really like delicate balancing act.
And delegating at the right time. And
that's probably my worst. I'm not very good at delegating. I try to take on too much shit.
Yeah, being empathetic, like really empathetic with boundaries, is like a really hard balance. Like that's the one that like, that's like the hardest thing to balance. Is like,
you directors are something different.
Well, I've had so, you know what's crazy? I had so many questions going into this.
Yeah.
To ask you, but I've literally got everything I need. Like you answered everything.
Well, let's backtrack though.
Actually, I am going to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Even like not directly, you haven't answered my questions directly, but you've answered them just the way you're talking about things.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you.
So like, my idea of like a commercial director, or even just a director in general that makes their living directing, the more and more like I've learned on set from other directors, I'm like, this really isn't about what I thought directing was. It literally is.
Let's put a pin in that. Tell me what, at this point or even before this conversation, like what is direct? Like what did you think directing was? Because some of it might be right, just because I'm not talking about it the right way or whatever.
Right. No, I thought directing was like, essentially being a decision maker and also having like, the final say. It's like, this is like what we're doing. This is why you're paying me to do it. And then on top of that, of course, like you need to know how every department works. On set, you're kind of like the one that can zoom out and see how things are going. Yeah. And that's what I thought a director was.
All of that is right.
Yeah.
There's just all this other stuff.
Well,
yeah.
Like I feel like that's like step 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
But the first step, which I realize now, it's like you have to like treat people like people.
Yeah.
Like you have to literally like empathy is the biggest thing I've learned. Like even with your client, like as a director, I'm also trying to like learn like how does a director start to get client work? How do they just strictly get?
Fuck, I don't know. It's tough. Yeah.
It's like the relationship though. Like you're the direct content. You're the direct contact, and like it seems to me, I don't know shit, but it seems like
you give yourself credit though, man. You've got a pretty good handle on this stuff, so. It seems to be. Either that or you're good at faking it. So yeah.
No, but it seems like really like as a director, like your biggest strong suit and what you really need to have in your toolbox, number one over everything else, is like being able to have a good relationship with people, and that comes from being empathetic, putting yourself in their shoes. Then on top of that, then it's like the craft, like the technical stuff, like knowing how to be the viewer, but like if you don't have that first step, that's why I'm always flabbergasted when I like meet directors. And I'm like, they can't always be this way. Like,
not everyone's going to be Stanley Kubrick, who comes in and like asks for 900 takes and gets to be a dick to everyone and then just leave. Like that's that's just not how it works.
But at some point, I don't even think he couldn't have started that way. Like,
no, he was actually a commercial director too.
Yeah,
he did like small movies. But yeah, it's funny for me. Not funny. I'm enjoying hearing your perspective of it, because it's the same perspective I have. It's just I have had more chances to do it
Yeah.
because of where my career's at. You're 100% right. And then it's when you zoom out and look at what a director does, like you're defining it in its like most rudimentary possible terms in that in commercial directing, which I have way more experience in, you're basically just a communicator. You're just communicating the idea to the viewer. You're communicating the day to the crew. You're communicating notes to the. We haven't even talked about talent, which is most of what I deal with all day long. So
that's a whole nother.
That's a whole other realm. I mean, I've basically just been talking about the like paperwork of directing at this point. But I think you're totally right, though. I think the other thing that I would add to it is there's not much mystique to it. But I think the reason that there is because it's so few people are privileged enough to be able to do it that it seems like this unattainable thing. But really at the end of the day, like it's about those relationships, but it's also about your work. Like if this is what you're putting out, this podcast, this shows part of who you are and what you make. And this might be something that people want to do. For me during the lockdown, I made a cooking show because
thank you.
I need to see it.
Yeah, I'll send you some links. Yeah. It honestly was just because I had literally nothing to do and I had all these cameras and I was like, cool, I'm going to make a cooking show. And I made a bunch of work based off of that because clients saw it and were like, hey, you can tell food stories. Let's give you some food work. Your career as a director is almost more defined by the stuff that you don't get paid for.
Wow.
Which is like, it's something that it's been said a million times. I don't feel like it's that profound of a thing for me to have said, but it is all of the things that make you who you are and give you your perspective and give you your point of view that people hire you for. And I think obviously in the last like 3 to 5 years, maybe longer, there's been a trend toward hearing more Black voices, hearing more women's voices, hearing more diversity in that role. And it's because the point of a director is to bring a point of view to the table. And for decades, we've had mostly one point of view in that spot. And tying that together to what I was saying about like everything else that makes you who you are is what your directing is. Like what do you guys do when you're not getting paid? Like what is your what do you, I know you have kids and stuff, so you've got a lot on your plate with that, right? But being a dad is part of your perspective, right?
I would say that's part of your perspective.
I would say that.
Did I touch a nerve?
He was looking at me too the whole time, like, "Oh, is he gonna talk about this? We're not gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that on camera."
But I would say that
100%.
But it brings like I know that you guys went to school together.
Yeah.
Your guys' relationship brings a perspective to the table. The fact that you like KU brings a perspective to the table.
This was given to me, bro.
You're repping them pretty hard.
I'm KU pretty hard right now. Yeah. Hey, I went to a game, and let me tell you, Allen Fieldhouse is freaking ridiculous. Those fans are crazy in there. But I guarantee you that's probably where I got COVID. I'm not even going to.
Wait, how long ago did you have COVID?
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It was like 2 days ago. Not
yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, bro, I was so mad because like I felt sick the week before, and then we had the photo shoot, and then I tested that week before because I was like, let me test before the shoot so I know I'm good. Tested negative. Tested for the shoot, tested positive. I was like, this doesn't feel right. But they let me go remote, which so I got to work from home the whole week. So
I'm gonna be happy when the testing and stuff is done. But get your vaccine, get your boosters.
Yeah, get your vaccine, get your boosters, everybody.
I need to go back to normal work.
I need to get my booster. That's what I need next.
I'm boosted up.
You are boosted up?
I'm boosty gang too, for sure. My girlfriend's immunocompromised, so it's been a long couple of years. But that was a really long-winded way to say that. To circle back, like it's everything that you do in your life that gives you that perspective, and it ultimately is the stuff that people hire you for. Right. Is the difference between me and like 90 other directors is almost nothing. I'm the same white guy with the same perspective about so much shit, but there's a couple areas that I'm starting to develop kind of a voice in. I think I'm pretty good with food. I think I'm pretty good with comedy, and those are the two things that I get hired for the most. And I always tell, especially younger directors and people aspiring to do this, is like, I think, at least when I was coming up, this like generalist thing became really popular. Like learn how to shoot on a camera and edit and do like I can do 3D motion or I can do 3D animation. There's no reason for that. It's not earning me any gigs. Yeah, I just taught myself that. But like that's just how I am. But the point is like the generalist thing is really good at first, but I think when you get into the middle of your career, it's really good to like pick something that you love that you like. You don't have to stay in the box, but like get better at it. If it's comedy, great, do some comedy. If you find out that it's docu-style comedy, do that. If it's food, whatever. But like be passionate about it. And a lot of the stuff that might be your best work is probably work you're already doing. Right. And you just haven't found the like commercial success with it yet, but it's a lot more fun when it's stuff you care about too. Right. Is the other part of it. So
100%. And even with being like a new company and like us starting this venture, we even talked about just like what can we just shoot just because we know like we can do it. Like we had a motherhood piece we want to do. There was an almond milk piece, oat milk, right? You changed it to oat milk.
You gotta get that spec work down too.
Yeah, spec work is what's key, bro.
Yeah.
So
that's actually how I have the quirk spot is all off of a spec spot that I did with shouts out. Actually, he goes by Turner Baeto. He's over at 8183. I don't know if you guys work with him.
It's Turner.
Yeah,
Turner. He goes by Turner.
And then actually, Tristan was part of that too. But they had an idea to shoot a spec spot, and they called me to help with it. I think just to write punch-up stuff, like just come to set and like throw out jokes. And then I was like, you know what, we should. I'm sorry, I don't want to misrepresent the story. Turner's idea was to go to Boulevard. So he found a contact, and then we pitched some spec scripts, and they were like, no, those suck, but we would like you to do some other work for us based on the stuff that we've seen. And then fast forward 4 years later, and I've made, I think every Boulevard commercial for the last 4 years has been something that I've worked on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So if you see a Boulevard commercial on TV,
that's me.
That's
me. And I think other than the first one, which was the Unfiltration Manager one, which I helped write, but I've written all the other ones as well. So
that's awesome.
But it's the spec work, and I know like I'm sure we've all seen you shoot videos, and if you're listening to this and in Kansas City and you don't know the Morgan Cooper success stories, go watch you shoot videos. They specifically talk about spec work.
You shoot videos. USV was
Shouts out Morgan Cooper.
Shouts out Morgan Cooper.
I just wish the Hawaiian Bros.
Oh, bro, let me tell you.
You guys have a spec spot?
Let me tell you this shit.
Yeah.
Michael, we're going to have to quack all this shit out. These motherfuckers here. So we did a Hawaiian Bros contest. Like they had
like a Super Bowl thing, right?
Yeah, so we did that. We shot our asses off.
6 hours.
Yeah, we did it in 6 hours. Shot 2 spots. And
the one that wins is just going to be some mom on an iPhone.
Oh, exactly. Okay. Yeah. So they emailed him. And was
There's
like,
no cynicism there. That's what they were looking for.
They were like, "Hey, like this was great. Whatever. By the way, could you give us your raw footage to this Dropbox folder? Here's the link."
Pause. No, thank you.
That's the only thing that because I was like, okay, maybe this was too high
bag.
Production value. Like I get that, but then they tell us we didn't win. And the same message is copy and pasted the Google Drive link to send them the raw footage. And they're like, in exchange for the raw footage, we want to say thank you by sending you a swag bag. So give me your address and we'll send it to you.
So I actually learned this lesson. A company I started previous to the production company was a T-shirt company. Okay. And so I made a bunch of like Royal shirts and stuff. I was like one of the first ones. Everyone's got a T-shirt company now in Kansas City. But I had this design that went off really well. And then I got a cease and desist from Major League Baseball. So I had to hire a intellectual property lawyer.
Oh shit!
I was pissed.
You got a trademark.
Yeah, I was pissed.
Trademark lawsuit too.
And she straight up told me like, "You will not win this. You need to be done." And I was like, "You got it. I paid you a lot of money to give me that." But she told me probably my best like business advice I've ever heard was that when you run into something that you feel like is a roadblock, it may actually be a business opportunity. So I don't think this would work with Hawaiian Bros. But if you tell them like, "Hey, that's great. You loved our footage so much. Like, we normally would have charged, $10,000 for this. We're happy to give it to you guys for $2,000.
Right.
Like,
and he
work a deal with them.
Did you send him an email yet?
No, yeah, I'm gonna respond. I wanted to leverage it as like, hey, like we'd gladly love to give you the footage. Thank you for considering us. Could we set up a meeting with like your marketing director?
Yeah, that's the way to go.
In exchange for the free footage.
Well, what's funny about like the cease and desist and like the trademark dispute? So that happened to us. We started.
We also started a cooking show.
We started a cooking show a couple years ago called All Love No Beef for Eastside.
Oh wait, was Devontae? No, someone was on that locally, right?
We had.
It wasn't Devontae.
No, it wasn't Devontae.
No.
We had pretty much you kind of handled the talent. We only shot 3 episodes though.
Yeah.
But it was like vegan for people who love vegan or people who just he just wants to like show people that you can eat vegan food, but like as well as like cost efficiently too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
that's a tough needle to thread. I'd like to see that.
So
actually, yeah.
we do all this work for it, shot these 3 episodes, and then like next thing I know, he calls me. He's like, "Bro, we're getting a cease and desist." I'm like,
No, we're
No
getting
shit.
what was it? A season desist, and it was something else. But yeah.
yeah."
From who?
From these brothers out in San Diego who apparently started all Love No Beef T-shirt company or T-shirt line.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, what's going on? What are we gonna do? And I told you, I was like, fuck that. They want this. They gotta fight us
They
for
sent me
it.
a packet like I'm not even kidding, this thick.
The paperwork.
Yeah, no, it was just screenshots of what they were doing,
of their pitch and
of
what
their
their
Instagram, like all this stuff.
when they started it and all that. And I think shout out to Jeremy and Jordan because we love them now. Like we're all brothers and everything.
we're like
Oh, you guys
great
are tight
friends.
now?
yeah,
We're
we are
awesome
super
now.
tight.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna say this anyway. they sent us a cease and desist, and what did she? We went with the first meeting with Dave. We had our first meeting with our lawyer, and something went on with the Zoom link or whatever it was. Our lawyer was pissed. Lawyer was hot. Did it for us last minute. You remember the whole Dave fiasco?
Oh, yeah.
We're calling Dave trying to figure out why he's not on yet, and he's not answering his phone. So we're like, our lawyer just fucking ditched us, bro, for this first meeting.
No, he just couldn't. He couldn't get to, like he was trying to use the link, but he couldn't get in the actual room. So
we
it was
think
like
we think
technical
they tampered it.
difficulties.
That's what we.
I don't know. I don't think they tampered it. Only because like it wasn't that big. Like if it was a huge like lawsuit or something, like if they're gonna win millions of dollars from this, like they were just wasting their time at that point if they were tampering with it.
Yeah.
So we sent in our like he had the bright idea though beforehand was to file the response on our behalf and not get a lawyer. He didn't want to deal with the lawyer. Didn't
Well, I
want to deal
googled
with
how much would it cost to get a trademark lawyer, and
If
I
you're
was like,
googling how much does a lawyer cost, you cannot afford a lawyer.
so I was like, all right, well I'll just go to the library and get a trademark
My man
lawyer.
was about to just learn
That's
law.
yeah.
So the night before, he called. We're trying to respond the night before. He's like, "Bro, we can't do it. We got to call Dave."
I was like, we fucked up, bro. We should have called Dave.
Yeah.
Dave was
I don't
like, "You should have called me 2 weeks ago. I could have had this already figured out." But we end up like finally meeting with the brothers, and on the Zoom call with the lawyers and everything like that, and it just turned into like a bond of like,
Good.
oh my god.
Well, it was
like,
Dave's idea. He
Yeah, it was
said-
Dave's idea.
So it's turned into like a partnership thing.
yeah, we're
that's cool.
now full on partnership. All Love No Beef LLC. Like we
went out there.
Shouts out. What's the Instagram? How do I get there?
All of no beef.
All Love No Beef.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, straight
Yeah.
up. Like they had the Instagram handle at first.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was another thing, bro. I was kind of petty at first when I found out they were trying to sue. I bought like 5 domain names of All Love.
Oh,
No
you like
different
just
types
bought all
of-
the
Stupid
misspellings and
ones.
stuff.
Like,
Yeah.
He's like, I just got allofnobeef.net. And I'm like, Jarrell, what are you wasting your money on? Like, stop. Like,
But they're not having this. They're not taking this from us.
You don't
I was,
want that.
I was so dead set that they were like not gonna win. And but no, we went out to San Diego, met them, like ate. I ate vegan most of the week. Like I had maybe 1 or 2 little hiccups.
we went out there and shot a ton
But-
of content. Like,
Ton of content.
and really, it was amazing because
Is
they're
it out? Can I watch it?
We're actually gonna drop
you're
it.
gonna
We're gonna
launch.
drop it with our website and when the
Sick,
new
yeah.
launch and everything. But
yeah, like lifelong friends now. Like these guys are
literally
like
lifelong friends.
brothers.
That's
to
awesome.
us.
So-
yeah.
And it's the same thing that my lawyer said. It was just like every like I wish I could remember that she said it really eloquently, but like every like adversary is just a potential partner.
Yeah.
Basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
And they became more than partners. They truly like because there was a time
And
even
they were ready to fucking sue you guys.
well actually
Yeah.
we found out
They were bluffing.
remember Jeremy told us that she filed that whole response and didn't even involve him in that response that we got originally.
Yeah,
So
they
she-
had a meeting with their and it was really weird because on the actual call with their law firm, like the main person, like whoever like the name of the law firm is, like
Yeah.
he was on the
Joe
call.
Bird or whatever law,
Yeah.
he was on it and she didn't even talk. And I was like,
Oh,
wait,
wow.
like what's going on? I don't know if it was like a newer lawyer or something, but I think because Dave, we met him on a documentary shoot we shot back in 2020.
Mhm.
And Dave is like,
Oh,
he
People know him.
he's worked for like
Ooh.
Exxon, like American Airlines. Like he's
Yeah,
like,
he's trying to take down.
he's like,
You stood no chance, is what you're saying.
Yeah. And he even like did his homework on her too because when we had a meeting with Dave, he was like, "Yeah, I did my homework on these guys. They don't seem too
Yeah,
too
we got nothing to
surprising.
worry about.
Got nothing to worry
So
about."
I think what happened was they looked into Dave and they were like, okay, this guy is like official. So we got on the call and I'm like expecting to talk to, I forget her name. I want to say Stephanie, but it might not. Danny, yeah,
Danny
it's
was her
Danny.
name. Yeah.
And she's like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, going good. And then the other lawyer pops up and she's just quiet the rest of the time. And I'm like, who is this guy?
Just pushed her
Yeah.
all the way out the link and everything. And
But It turned out like there couldn't have been a better
I'm looking
outcome.
forward to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm truly. That was probably one of the funnest adventures out of the state that we've taken in a long. Like, did the podcast on the beach in like 65-degree weather in San Diego.
What
It was
am I doing here?
perfect.
Why are we not on a
my
beach?
God, we'll fly you out next time.
Okay, cool.
We'll fly you out
Yeah.
next time. Because me and Michael want to go to LA together. Anyway,
Oh, yeah.
So we got to still do that.
Well, we got friends out there now that are doing good
Lots
stuff.
of friends out there now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for that.
What like I want to like I've diverted us into this like t-shirt and lawyer talk, so sorry about that. But yeah, like what other directing stuff, especially like Isai, like I know that you are currently directing, and like I also really empathize with the struggle of like, cool, well this is great. How do I get fucking paid to do this? Like how can I help? Like like let me give you as much like info as I can or whatever.
Man,
Well, really, okay. So I know that we're like technically competitors now.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I'm the laziest production
It's all
company
love
owner.
here, though.
Like, yeah, I don't. Yeah.
So my thing is what I've been trying to rack my brain around. Even I've talked to John about it, and he's just like, it's really just about knowing the right person. It's just like, how do we enter bids? How do we get in that game of finally like putting a bid in and finally like getting to that step of a client just seeing our name at least, even though they might pass on it, but they still at least saw the name.
So the world of like mid-sized production company is kind of like it's more nuanced than this, but I'll boil it down into like it's direct client work, and then it's bid jobs, like triple bid jobs. The direct client work is actually where I make most of the money for the company because I'm not really competing against other people, and that comes through referrals. And it sucks to say, but it's just like good work gets more work type of thing.
Yeah.
So just keep trucking on that. The other side of it is it's hard for me to give any advice there because I spent 5 years working at an advertising agency. So I had a lot of contacts that came out of there, and then the advertising agency works in a way where people leave and go to other places all the time. So just by virtue of I was in this one spot, and now a bunch of people have gone out all over the country, and so I've got contacts there. Keep doing your networking, but do it in the ad world. And then also, I think probably the best thing, I wish I could go back and give myself this advice 5 years ago, is to just like, it's not about like, oh, know your lane and stick to it. I think that's bad advice, but I think the good version of that advice is know who you are and know what you're good at, and don't like always be like ambitious, but know like if you guys are even this, people need this kind of fucking content all the time. Like go and pitch this content, but understand that if you pitch this content to some people, they're not necessarily also going to want to hire you to do a $400,000 commercial because they will see you as this, and that's fine. There's other fish out there. You don't have to, you don't have to stick to one agency, but like it's honestly a numbers game too. Reach out to small agencies in other smaller cities, other smaller markets like that for sure. And then also just know like it's a lot like I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I can't really think of one, but it is a numbers game, and it's just knowing how to talk about yourself and be aware of what you can produce. And then I think in the production community, at least, like we tend to get to know each other, and we're a real tight bond here because when jobs come along, like I may hire you guys to do this, that, and the other thing. But once you go up to that next level where you're the production company, this networking is important for the jobs, but now you have a whole other set of networking to do with the agencies and the clients. And like, that's the stuff that there's ad clubs everywhere. If you guys aren't part of the ad club here, I would become part of that. The American Advertising Awards is actually in a couple weeks.
See, I don't know that. I don't know about these things.
Yeah. And so I'll tell you, like almost every city in the country has some sort of ad club. Get involved with that. It's a membership thing, so you have to pay. And then go to like their award shows, they have happy hours all the time. And then also go, I learned this from the punk rock MBA. Do you guys know that guy? He's on Facebook. He's like a content creator.
I don't think
He used to be in bands forever, and now he gives like business advice to people. And one of the best like analogies I've ever heard about this was treat your business the same way you would treat like going to a party. If you go to a party and be like, hey, bro, check out my mixtape. Will you listen to my mixtape? Listen to my mixtape.
Oh, God, I've seen those people before.
No one's going to listen to that fucking mixtape.
Yeah.
Go to the party and say, like, hey, my name's Jarrell. Here's my story. And then ask them about their story. And just understand, like, all you're trying to do is to get to know a person. You get to know a business.
Yes.
And then in 3 weeks, 3 years, whatever, then you maybe go like, oh, by the way, I've got some songs if you want to hear it. Once they know you, like to use the mixtape analogy, but that's the way there. And then running a company is just like, it's so much work. You guys have partners, so like I did it alone. I don't know if I would do it alone if I did it again. So it's good that you have a work.
I was glad to get partners out of this because I was really when I was filling out the paperwork. We were at I think we were I forgot what place we were and when we were in San Diego still. I was just like filling it out and it gave me that option like, do you want partners? And I was like, yeah, I need to do this with somebody else because I sure enough don't.
It's good to have even as a director, like having a writing partner or having someone to bounce ideas. Other people can work in a little like quiet vacuum by themselves. I don't work well that way.
Me neither.
Yeah, same.
And then even when you're on set, like having a good DP that you trust is a huge part as a director. And then I think like having someone that you trust creatively is a huge thing. And then also like I would say, I don't know, we're probably, I don't know, do we need to wrap up? I don't know what time you guys got. But
finish what
okay.
you're saying. We'll
but I think the thing to go back to what you were talking about your expectations of what a director does, you're totally spot on. I would just only add more of that, like just demystify it and know that it's like every other job on a set. Probably the best advice that I've been given to folks lately is that a director's job is mostly, so everyone thinks that you say action and that's when you start directing and then you say cut and then you're done directing. Like it's actually the opposite. My job as a director starts at cut and then it ends at action because if I've done it right, like the stuff happening in front of the camera is what I've tried to mold into whatever I'm trying to do. And while it's going on, like I can't do shit. I can't even say like, I mean, if you're rolling without sound, you can say like,
right, you can
hand up or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's more conceptual than that, especially on a comedy, like which you were on, and hopefully you'll be on another comedy that I do soon. But your actors got to be in a spot where they can make people laugh. And like, unless they're like seasoned fucking pro Paul Rudd motherfuckers, like that's a hard thing to do. So you got to keep them in a good headspace. When you cut, that's when I go and talk to talent, and that's when I go and talk to the crew, so that when I say action, they're doing their job. So my job, like I said, is just like when the cut happens, that's when I start working.
Wow.
And when action starts, like
that's
flying on
really
its own.
good insight.
I was gonna say
that made me think of something else. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever acted before? Like you had
not really, no. I mean, I've been in front of a camera, but not
did you ever have
professionally.
auditions to act, or you were...
I think this is probably maybe a self-report, but I think almost every director wants to be an actor.
That's
like secretly.
That's okay. So like, it almost feels like a director is really just as much the talent.
Yeah.
Because they're taking on this role of a director, which is in a sense a character.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you're literally like,
and you have to be the character you're trying to direct. Also,
I'm acting while I'm directing. The person I am on set is like, that's not.
You're literally like, you made me just think of this, but like, yeah, like a director is just as much the talent or actor as the person they're directing, because not only to like the talent, but to your crew, then to also to the client, but then also the townspeople in a random town by a lake. Like you're playing this role of a director, and you have to really like almost like embrace that and really like perform. You know, like
because people need stuff from you.
Yeah.
And if like it's super easy to be like, and I don't know hate to anyone in camera department, but I've been on a camera before and just operating. Like the only thing people need you to do while you're operating is keep the shit in frame and in focus. Like I'm belittling camera people here. And I'm totally joking.
Chris is gonna see this episode, but I'll never work with him ever again.
DPs are different, but cam ops, like it's seen as like it's a very like white and black thing. Like it's either a good shot or it's not.
Yeah.
And your DP needs something from you, but as a director, like the client needs this particular thing from me, the crew needs this thing from me, the talent needs this thing from me. And if I show the talent my client stuff, or like if I act like I do to the client but to the talent, that's not gonna be great. If I act like I do to the crew, like if I come to the crew and act like I do to the client, like everyone just needs some different piece of you, and it's knowing how to like compartmentalize that and put it to work in the best spot. And it really is like, this is all to say, like, this is when I sit down at this table and be very analytical of it. Honestly, when I'm out on sets, like it's knowing that like, do my best today and I will have another shoot and I'll make a little tweak. And then knowing that like the director that I am on my next shoot is always the best version of a director that I'm ever going to be. And like what I can do today is not flip the fuck out when shit gets hard, because every shoot day ever, I'm sure you guys could think back on your shoot days, there's always a spot where you hit where it's like, God damn, I don't know if this is going to happen.
Yeah.
Even
and
this
getting through
podcast.
that.
I don't want to do it no more.
You literally got here as soon as we started Devontae's podcast. Because our mics weren't working, the camera wasn't working.
Shit happens. But it's not losing your cool.
Exactly.
You just got to do it.
I was about to lose my cool. I was like, damn,
I could tell.
If Michael walks in, we're not even fucking ready. He's going to be like, you unprofessional fuck.
No, fuck no.
Call my agent.
No way, man. And you know why? Because I've been on the other side where I'm like running the show and I know like shit gets fucked up.
Yeah.
Shit gets real fucked up. You get behind and it's... Then you get over budget, and that's a whole other thing. That's a
different conversation.
We're gonna have to bring Michael back for sure.
I'm happy to come back. Yeah.
Before I let you go, I do have to know, like I asked everybody this at the end of the show, where do you want to see film progress at?
That's a really great question. Obviously, I think some of the trends that are happening now, which is like seeing more diverse voices be represented, is a huge part. I think I would love to see. Let me think on this for a sec. If you have to cut some dead air, I'm sorry, but
no, me and Joe can talk about that.
We don't cut at all.
You asked us, but you don't ever answer it, or have you answered it? Where you want to see the film, like film progression?
You know what I want to see? I want to see film be less. This sounds, and it goes back to my concept of like demystifying stuff, and then like taking the capitalization out of the word film.
Yes.
I want to see film be less precious. And I'm saying that maybe more to myself than to film community. Okay. But like, I just want to see stuff be like a thing that we make, and it doesn't have to be like every time you guys make a short film. It doesn't have to be like we have to have a teaser and a Marvel drop, and like just make work and like let it be fun.
I try to tell Charles that all the time, and the kid just doesn't listen. he is all because ever since Charles is a kid that I kind of mentor. Like he was in my first. He was in my thesis film, and he just kind of ever since then he's always said like, dude, when you brought me on that, I've always just kind of been happy about it ever since then. So that's what made me come into film. Well, he shot his thesis film. He had a budget of like 10, I think.
That's pretty good.
Got up to like 8.
That's pretty good, yeah.
And he got spoiled though.
Oh yeah.
Now he's like he wants it again. And I'm like, bro, you can't.
You got to do a $400.
You can't always have these. He's like, I know, but I'm like, there's no buts. It's like, what do you need and what do you want? Yeah. You gotta just go with.
Well, and I want to reiterate. I think where I want to see film go, that's definitely me talking to me. Like, okay. I can't really speak for film on a big level, but like to your point, and maybe back to the Hawaiian Bros thing that you guys were talking about, is that like when you're writing a flick or you're trying to make something, like you do have to be true to what you want to talk about. Mm-hmm. But what we do at the end of the day is it's communication. Yeah. And if you write a film or something that like someone told me years ago, when you write a script, if you hand it to someone, even your mom who doesn't know how to read a screenplay, if she reads it and doesn't get it, then you fucked up. Like it doesn't mean she doesn't know how to read a screenplay. It means you didn't do a good enough job writing it. And that's like the only way you get better is to just do it. And I'm trying to do more. I've got ideas that I need to get. I hate being like the guy that's like, oh, I'm gonna go make this movie, or like just make the movie, and like we don't need to hear about the grand plans for me. I don't need to hear that. But just make your stuff and understand that like I'm not saying that film is not a precious thing to like behold and be really proud of, but like
we don't want to stress over it. Like
it's supposed to be fun.
Exactly.
It's supposed to be a fun thing.
I just don't want to. I don't want him to stress, and I definitely have taken the stress out of my life in bits and pieces, as you've seen, as I've grown. But like I definitely want to preach to like younger producers and younger anyone in general. Like don't let this stress you out to the point where you just want to pull your hair out. You want to quit next week. Like it's not worth doing that. Like I stopped doing that. Always find the fun in it. Always find some little bit of light in it, because it'll keep you going. If you can't find any light and all you see is just blackness,
it should be fun.
It should all.
There's parts of it that are not, for sure, 100%. But like film should be fun, and I think that like
he knows we're recording right now.
Shout out to LaRon. Thank you,
LaRon, for interrupting my.
But
podcast.
No, it's I think film needs to be fun, and I think that especially because I didn't come from film school, I can't like I'm self-taught. Like I definitely have this like laissez-faire attitude about it, and I definitely have the like. I hate to be like the damn the system type of guy, but like it doesn't have to be anything. It just has to be a thing that you make that communicates with other people. If that's a squiggle GIF animation, great. Like if it's a full-fledged film, I think what I would hope for myself and other young filmmakers like myself is to understand that like you don't have to do this. So if you're gonna do it, enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
That's what I would to answer your question. Like, even when it comes to like the rollout that we like,
We put all this pressure on ourselves.
but
Yeah.
like if you want to have a cool rollout and that inspires you to like do something, like have fun with it.
We
Don't
do have fun with that. We do it. There have been times where you have stressed me out to the point when you want to do a teaser or something different.
like what?
Oh, shit, we're about to get real.
Bro, you really want to get real? All the all love no beef teasers that I've asked you forever and you just haven't even gave them to me yet.
That's you stressing out, not me.
But that's me stressing out because I'm trying to get them from you.
But what I would say though, just as an outsider, maybe you like film marketing as much as you like filmmaking.
I do like film
which is a
marketing lot
huge.
more.
That's a whole industry.
And
like when you look at a budget for a film, half of that budget is fucking marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
'Cause I was talking when we were talking about just like where do we want to go as a company and like where do we see each other individually going. I was like, dude, I really actually want to get more into the distribution side and learn that craft because that's a whole that's a devil.
whole other thing.
That's a demon right now that people are getting taken advantage of left and right
Yeah.
with distribution. I want to like be a part of stopping that. Like, did you hear about the whole? Who's the aggregator that just? I think I told you about that. There was an aggregator that just got like hit. They used to like they help people like get their films on like Hulu or whatever and all that, and they weren't giving people their residuals or something like that happened, and they just completely like fell off the face of the earth. It was on Alex Ferrari's podcast, The Rise of the Entrepreneur. He had a whole episode too about it.
I think like distribution, it's like because I also make music, so
Yeah,
I look
that's
at
the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I look at it similar to like distribution for music and how that's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I see like the film industry doing a similar. Like,
What's the
that's
Spotify of
trajectory.
films? Yeah.
Yes.
And who's going to be the first fucking Post Malone?
And right
Yeah.
now they're still trying to like hoard it. It's like no, it's stayed to how it's traditionally been and not like they're trying to gatekeep it.
Yeah.
I think like in the next few years it's going to be a lot more open and
Sorry, go. I don't mean
no,
to
yeah,
interrupt.
100%. Like,
Yeah.
I just think it's going to change and if you want to get into that, it's a great time to do it because a change is going to happen soon,
Change is
whether it's
gonna
you or
we
someone
should
else.
we should come and talk more about that. And it's a good time to at the end of this to shout out like Kansas City, Morgan Cooper. Obviously,
Kansas City, Morgan Cooper. Bel Air is about to
Bel
come
Air
out.
on Peacock. Everyone watch
On
it. Super Bowl
Peacock.
Sunday.
Please go watch it on Super Bowl Sunday. Shout out to Morgan Cooper. That kid's
He's an impressive
Yeah.
and inspiring guy, and all the people around him have been inspiring to watch. And then also shout outs to Trevor Hawkins, who made and released Lotawana, which was shot here in Kansas City as well.
I didn't know that.
Him and Nathan Kincaid have been like shouldering getting that film out for years, and it's I think it's pre-order right now.
That's awesome.
Not that I'm trying to like just be a salesman here at the end, but like actually
Plug it in.
it's the easiest thing in the world to like hype up your friends.
exactly.
And shit. So like
you hype up your
Yeah.
friends.
and all the and
were
to
there.
every other million projects that are going on in Kansas City, but those are the two that you can go out and like actually support right this second.
Heck
So,
yeah,
Let's
I like
go.
that. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, thank you so much, man, for
Hell yeah.
coming by.
Thank you guys for having
I
me.
really do appreciate
Happy
it.
to- happy to come back.
You got to come back.
Yeah, I'd
you
happy to
gotta
come back.
We got so much more to talk about.
if you want to hear me pontificate about my fucking opinions anytime, man, yeah, I'm happy to.
Oh my God! Well, thank you, everybody. This has been Filming in Progress. I'm your host, Jarrell Washington, with my guy Isai, and you just met
Michael Martin.
the Michael Martin.
I don't know, just Michael Martin.
I say
There's
the.
so many Michael Martins. There's no the.
You're actually right. There are 100. If you type in Michael Martin on Facebook,
There's a
you're gonna
fucking
get
million.
a million white
Yep.
guys.
Yep.
Maybe
One of them's the prime minister of fucking Ireland, I think.
Oh shit!
We're
We're
gonna
out.
put his Instagram handle.
Yeah, 5 minutes. She's about to get blown. I love it. All right, y'all.